The Comfortably Zoned Radio Network presents Weighted Donuts with your hosts Wayne Unger and Craig Sptier.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to this week's show of Weighted Donuts. I'm Wayne Unger. My co-host is Craig Sptier, and tonight, out from Chicago, we have renowned sports and music artist and diehard Cubs fan, Margie Lawrence. Welcome, Margie.
Hello.
Welcome, Margie. Thanks for agreeing to come on.
Sure. I love talking to people about baseball, so here we go.
Well, check this out, Margie. You're not the first artist we've had on our show. Check this out. You're going to love this. You may even know that this guy's an artist. A few weeks ago, we interviewed John D'Acquisto. John D'Acquisto.
Oh, sure, he's a baseball player.
Yeah. Well, not only is he a baseball player, but if you go to his website, you'll see that he's a terrific. What does he do? It's pretty.
He does sketches.
Yeah.
He does. Yeah.
I've seen him. I'm very familiar.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
You're not the first artist we've had on, but we're thrilled to have you. And
thanks.
So you've been a Cubs fan for quite a while, huh?
All my life.
So you're fairly frustrated then, I'm guessing.
Well, not this year. But we did lose 2 in a row to the lowly White Sox.
Well, at least you didn't lose to Chris Sale. That's a good thing.
Oh, he's pitching tomorrow.
Oh, is he? Against the Cubbies?
Yes.
His suspension's over?
Yes.
Oh, that's exciting. Are these games being played at Wrigley or at
Wrigley?
Ballpark? Oh. Well, go Cubs.
Now, do they do like 4 games in a row, like a home and home, 2 and 2, like the Mets and the Yankees do?
Well, they don't usually. This is the first year they have, and it seems to work out with the schedule.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Now that's what they're doing next week. They're gonna do 4 games. 2 at Citi Field, 2 at Yankee Stadium. I don't know which stadium's going first. In the past, I think they would do 3-game series. They would do 2 3-game series, but they would spread them out a little bit. But
yeah.
I kind of like them doing it all at once. I really do.
Well, it's sort of fun. It's fun watching and keeping score and, get it over with.
Yeah. So, Margie, let me tell you, now, were you a big Cubs fan as far back as, let's say, 1969?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, in 1969, now, I'm a Yankee fan, number one, but I root for the Mets as long as they're not playing the Yankees.
Okay.
So I have a little Chicago story for you. Back in, was it 1969, was it? Or was it 68? I'm trying to remember. I believe, I gotta put the dates. Wait a second. 1968, yes. Okay. So I'm gonna go to November of 68. Well, actually, I'll take you back a little further. In May of '68, I ran away from home. That's
boy!
I was. I was a wild kid. When I was in Florida on vacation with my family, I met some friends, and they lived in Skokie. So I decided, hey, listen, you know what? I'm taking my savings and I'm going to go buy a ticket and I'm getting on an airplane and here I was, 14 years old, no questions asked. I had the money to buy a ticket. I get on the plane, and when I get to the airport, I called my friends, and they said, take the bus to Evanston, and we'll pick you up there. And so that I stayed there for a while, and then I ended up running away again, and now I'm back in Chicago in November, and I was staying at this other friend's apartment. He had actually moved into the city at the time, and we were talking baseball. And I told, and I told him, you watch. I said, the Mets are going to do it next year. Now, I'll be quite honest. It was just home team hope talking. Never in my wildest dreams did I expect the Mets to win it in 1969, back in November of '68.
Okay.
But here we were talking, and then I remember when the season started, it was like, the Cubs looked unstoppable, and until all through the first few months of the season, whenever they did play the Mets, they dominated them. They just, you could just see the difference. And but you know what? Well,
from last year as well.
Yeah, well, last year was a little different. I mean, last year, I don't think anyone expected the Mets to go to the World Series, but you had to give them a chance with that starting rotation. And once they were in the postseason, I mean, with the rotation they had, you knew they had a good shot for the World Series. I mean, they had a good shot to win any postseason series. But but I felt as though the Cubs could too. It was just a situation of the Cubs got cold and Daniel Murphy got unbelievably hot in that one series, and it just carried them through. I didn't walk away. You can't walk away from that series saying, well, the Mets were the better team. The Mets had the better series.
Okay, I agree.
So tell me something. Before the Cubs acquired Aroldis Chapman, what was your thinking? What was your wants? Like, were you giving any thought to should we trade Kyle Schwarber for Andrew Miller? Should we look somewhere else? I mean, what did you give that any thought? Are you
no, not really. No, because I thought we had a great lineup. Our pitching was a little stagnant for some reason. I thought they were going to trade Kyle Schwarber, but this Chapman character, I'm not a real big fan of his.
Well, he can close out games for
yes,
him.
he can.
Okay. I mean, I think Hector Rondon is even though he's done well, he's probably better suited in a setup role, and it pushes everybody back. It pushes Pedro Strop back, and you also picked up Mike Montgomery. I thought those were two, very nice moves, perfect additions, for your Cubs this past week.
Well, yeah. I think their bullpen needed something. So I'm glad that they made those acquisitions.
What's the buzz? Let's say, do you listen to sports radio at all? What's the buzz, in Chicago about their Cubs? Because, over here it's, about New York. Or, you hear how the Mets, are in trouble. They need to make a move, and then, for the past 2-3 weeks, everybody's been saying the Yankees should be sellers. They might have, give it up now, and and it's rampant. How is what's the buzz on the other side?
Well, first of all, I don't listen to sports radio, but I do have friends who are in the sports world, so that's where I get all my good gossip.
Okay. And so, what seems to be,
Well, people were freaking out when the Cubs went through a losing streak. they went through a terrible dive last 2 weeks before the All-Star break. And people were freaking out. And I was a little freaked out. But it is a long season, and they lost their, I think, 11-game lead. It was nice and comfortable. Because as a Cub fan, I know the bottom could fall out any day. But,
well, yeah, I mean, you know, you know what? It's, you couldn't expect, you know, see, I'm pretty realistic about, you know, my team's chances and other teams' chances. I actually did pick the Cubs to win the division.
okay.
I did not pick them to win the World Series.
Oh, who?
Believe it or not, I believe I picked the Astros to win the World Series.
Well, somebody was astute baseball person. They had also picked the Astros.
And earlier in the year, you know what? I was looking pretty bad. I mean, they were like 17-28. I mean, the Cubs were on pace to win like 116 games.
I know.
But you know what? Listen, right now, I mean, they have an almost 600 winning percentage, and I believe right now they still actually have the best record in baseball. So it's not totally shabby. It's funny how people get spoiled, you know, by a little success. But I understand, you know, you worry about the bottom falling out. So
well, I'm a Cub fan. I've seen it before. I saw it in '69 as a 12-year-old, and I saw it again a few years in the '80s, and you know, they're really, really good, and I have a lot of faith in Joe Madden.
So over the years, who has been all right, well, name me your top 5 favorite Cubs of all time.
Well, the first one is Mr. Cub, Ernie. And then I would go with Ron Santo, Billy Williams, anybody on the '69 team, Fergie Jenkins, Ken Holtzman.
Wait, you're leaving out the big one. I read some stuff. I did my my due diligence on you. You're leaving out your heartthrob.
No, I said Ron Santo.
Oh, I thought it was somebody else.
Oh, no.
A certain second baseman, but I could be wrong.
Oh, well, all the girls love Rhino. That's a given. I saw him at a Target one time with his wife and family. I would not approach him. I wanted to leave him alone.
That's how I feel about Woody Allen. That's how I feel about Woody Allen. I once saw him. I was gonna go up and tap him on the shoulder and tell him how much he meant to me, and growing up in the Borscht Belt, and my sense of humor is derived from him. And I said, you know what? I don't want to end up being disappointed. I don't want him blowing me off or anything. So I didn't do it. I didn't go near.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Well, he's a neurotic, so he's a little scary to approach.
Who? Ryan Sandberg?
No, Woody Allen.
Woody Allen.
Yeah, he is a little crazy. So here's my question to you. Okay, I mean, you named your greatest hits of ball players. That makes perfect sense because from a New Yorker's perspective, you hit them all. But my question, the question I want to pose is this: you're an artist, and you know, on your website, you get a really good feel for your art, and you're really terrific. You really do a nice job. Who of the new batch of Cubs, of this year's Cubs, have you started painting any of them? And when you do, if you haven't already, do you have your first few in mind? Who you're planning?
Well, actually, it's my next painting. It's Rizzo and Bryant and Addison Russell goofing on the bench.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, because they're young kids and they're just goofing around.
How soon are we going to see that?
Maybe in the next month.
Oh, that's terrific. Again, we root for the Cubs from afar.
Okay.
This kid Rizzo is really good. I mean, Wayne, have you seen this Anthony Rizzo? He's terrific.
Well, actually, you see, Craig, if you were on Facebook, Margie, I can't get this guy on Facebook. Okay, he's like paranoid. Craig, if you were on Facebook, okay, somebody had mentioned Wilson Ramos the other day as an MVP candidate, and I chimed in and I said the conversation is Ramos, Daniel Murphy, and Anthony Rizzo. I said that's the conversation right there. So yes, I'm aware, and I tell you what, if somebody said to me like pick from one of those three, I don't know. I would actually need to. They're all three so close in what they've done for their team. I would actually have to dig through the box scores, and I would have to like take a tally of who was a difference maker in a game the most out of those three. I would have to go through all the box scores. But Rizzo is, he's unbelievable, and he hits both lefties and righties. He's smooth in the field, and he's a vocal team leader. So I think he's only 25 years old. Yes, and to think he was traded twice. Now I understand the first trade. I do understand the first trade, getting he was part of a package traded by the Sox to get at his peak, Adrian Gonzalez. Okay, I understand that. But how do you think San Diego feels about trading Rizzo because they had acquired Yonder Alonso? Okay, so it's not so much who he was traded for, but when you think about why he was traded, because they had acquired Yonder Alonso from Cincinnati, and they thought that he was, going to be the guy and not Anthony Rizzo. So that I guess will be, in my mind, a footnote, trade, although not an exact trade. Well, the Cubs traded away Lou Brock. They're famous for making bad trades. Well, you know what? If you tally them up, I'm sure it balances out. With the exception of maybe all the trades that Kansas City made with the Yankees in the 50s. But something was fixed there. Something was fixed. I'm a Yankee fan, but something was fixed because, the Kansas City Athletics were almost like, they were like the AAA system for the Yankees. Something was going on there.
Margie, I wanted to ask you a question.
Sure.
Oh, it's almost impossible not to, when you speak to a Cubs fan, to go back to one of the biggest game changers of all time, Steve Bartman. I'm guessing you haven't done a painting of the Steve Bartman ball or anything.
Well,
like that.
I had an art show. I organized a baseball art show, and another artist depicted the thing where Moses Alou was going after the foul ball that Steve Bartman had touched. So I'd rather not paint that because that's part of the bad history. I'd rather paint the good stuff.
Okay. I hear
but
that.
maybe if you paint it, it could be an exorcism of sorts.
Well, somebody will try to destroy the painting, just like they destroyed the Bartman ball.
The ball, right? I remember they blew that up. But can you take us back to I know we know you're a rabid Cubs fan. Could you take us back to that night and what you were feeling, as that inning proceeded, and then things kind of devolved from there?
Oh, yeah.
It's always interesting to hear from a Cub fan, because I know as a baseball fan, the Yankees were on their way to the World Series, and I was very excited at the prospect of the Yankees playing the Cubs.
Oh, boy, the ratings would have been way up there. Yes, that was the World Series. Well, no, I just watched it fall apart. It's like pulling a thread, and the whole outfit falls apart. I mean, I forgot who it was. Aramis Ramirez, I think, was the shortstop. Or no?
Well, he was a third baseman.
Gonzalez. It was Gonzalez.
Oh, yeah, went through his legs. Sort of shades of Bill Buckner.
Yeah.
And should have pulled the pitcher. I remember that. I saw grown men cry. I got scared. I thought, oh my goodness, we're 3 outs away. But, yeah, it hurt. I didn't have to go to therapy or anything, but it hurt.
That's the difference between Chicagoans and New Yorkers. That would send a New Yorker to a therapist.
Well, we do. The Yankee fans do have their 2004 season.
Oh, Martin,
okay.
He's absolutely right. I still have nightmares from games 4, 5, 6, and 7 Yankees against the Red Sox that year.
Oh my God!
Yeah. You remember the Yankees had a 3-0 lead in the series, and then they lost 4 in a row. It was just, it was unbelievable. Thankfully, I'm not old enough to remember the 1960 World Series. I kind of I remembered a little bit, but not much, because I really didn't start bearing down on the Yankees and box scores and things like that for the 61 season. So I kind of missed that heartache.
I'm sure that was a sad one.
Yeah, well, they were heavily favored against the Pirates, and we had, they lost it on a 7th, a walk-off, 7th game walk-off by Bill Mazeroski.
Yes.
So,
I do opinion of that. Sorry.
And we actually had Eli Gerber on, and he was a pitcher on the team that year, and he said everybody did not understand why Stengel did not start Whitey Ford in the first game of the series. And
it was unusual.
Yeah. So, well, you know what? Like I say, thank God, it really wasn't part of my pain. It's just something I read about. So,
okay.
So, Marge, another question. So you're a Cubs fan. Does that mean that you hate all things White Sox? Like when the White Sox won the World Series?
I'm a big baseball fan. And now there are people, like there are Yankee haters, but I'm not a White Sox hater.
You are or are not?
I am not.
Oh, good. Good for you. That's good. That's the way to be.
Well, I'm too wise to get in fights with drunks.
Well, it's funny. Here in New York, I find that there are more Met fans that hate the Yankees as opposed to Yankee fans that hate the Mets. I don't know why that is, but nonetheless, but it's a fact. I think it's cooled off a little bit in the past couple of years, probably because the Yankees have not been that good, and I think the Mets fans kind of got tired of harping on that, on their misfortune. I guess they got over it, but for a while, they relished it quite a bit, and I'm like, okay, I used to actually worry about. There used to be there's a huge Red Sox-Yankee rivalry.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and there were always, at Yankee Stadium, there would be fights, and at Fenway, and I always used to say, you know what, one day this is just going to go too far. Something bad is going to happen. And I forget how many years ago it was, but I'm guessing maybe it was 8 years ago or so. There were two incidents not all that far apart. A woman, she was a Yankee fan. I believe she, outside a bar, she deliberately ran over Red Sox fans that were berating her. And,
oh, my God.
And I believe there was a stabbing in Connecticut. I don't know whether it was the Red Sox fan or the Yankee fan that got stabbed, but again, it was rivalry based. So
of course.
Look at that guy out, that Giant fan out in Los Angeles a few years ago.
Oh, that was terrible.
He recovered. He was
incapacitated. Yeah.
He was terrible. He was almost beaten to death. So.
Yes, and it's alcohol is always involved in testosterone. Not a good combination.
Yeah, that's true. You don't see women getting into baseball fights.
Period. Maybe when they're young and spilling out of a bar and TMZ is there, but no. There's usually, we're a non-violent species, part of the species. The men are usually, they get liquored up. They have to show off.
Yeah,
Margie,
it's, go ahead, Craig, I'm sorry.
I don't know if you realize it, but you're talking to two members of the tribe here.
Okay, MOT.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, when are we going to see a series of paintings of your favorite Jewish baseball players? And let us know who your favorite Jewish ball players are of all time.
Well, it would have to be Sandy Koufax because that was my introduction to baseball. My family made a big deal about him pitching during the World Series, and my uncle had a nice place in the Gold Coast down in where all the rich people live, and invited us over, and we all watched this baseball game. Must have been 5 or 6, so it would have to be Sandy Koufax. And my Sandy is in the archives of the Hall of Fame.
Really?
Yeah, actually, I believe, didn't you do a piece on, didn't you do a piece on Sandy Koufax?
Yes, I've done several. I've done a computer-based piece and a graphite piece. I've done a graphite, two Hank Greenbergs, Al Rosen, 2 Mobergs.
Oh my! I thought I went through everything on your website, and we should mention her website, shouldn't we, Wayne?
We should. Well, it's www.margie, M-A-R-G-I-E, Lawrence, Lawrence.com. And she's got a beautiful collection of portraits, not only baseball, some renowned Chicago blues people, as well as, for my hippie friends out there, as well as a Frank Zappa.
Oh, yeah, that Frank Zappa was inspired by his sister. candy.
Oh. And now so I'm just gonna. I have a website bookmark, and I'm just gonna give you a heads up, Margie.
Okay.
In the Iowa Cubs, have Ryan Kalish. So he's a Jewish ball player. He's a Jewish ball player, just so you know.
All right.
And further down at Single A, they have a pitcher named Scott Efros or Efros. So, and even further down, like in the rookie league, they just drafted this guy this year. His name is Mark Huberman. He's a pitcher, and he's in there. He's pitching in their short season league. So I just thought I would let you know.
Okay. Well, I'm doing a series of Jewish ball players. That's where I have Al Rosen and Moberg with the top two Jews in baseball, Greenberg and Koufax. And I'm researching more Jewish baseball players.
I'm guessing you didn't know that Woody Allen was a great stickball player. you might want to throw him into the mix. I'm looking at your Ernie Banks at Ebbets Field painting. It looks like it's Roy Campanella as the catcher.
Yep.
Just great. They're really great.
Thanks.
Really great. You're welcome.
Well, if you go on my Flickr site, you'll see all my more recent depictions of ball players. That's where you'll get the Al Rosen and the Moberg.
Look at that. I didn't even know. I mean, I don't. Wayne gets on my case all the time because I'm so. What is it? What am I averse to, Wayne? Is it just? I
don't know. You know what? It's funny. Craig he says I don't want to be known. I want to be incognito, but he wants this show to be successful. Well.
Oh yeah, you got to market it on social media.
Well, that's why we have Wayne. That's why.
Okay.
Wayne's the brains of the operation.
No, actually, I'm not. The brains behind the operation is the guy that got us going with this, Ralph Tycho. I believe I'm sure you've seen him around on some of the baseball groups on Facebook.
Okay. Well, I'll keep an eye out for him.
Yeah, I mean, the way Craig and I ended up doing this is Craig and I used to work together. We worked for this nonprofit organization called Housing Works. And Craig was the staff attorney, and I was the facilities manager, and we became friends. And actually, we were working together when Mickey Mantle passed away. So that was, that was, I guess, all part of the bonding over, But we kept in touch on and off over the years. And years ago, Craig told me that he was working on writing a book about opening day. And so when I started doing the show with, I originally started doing the show with Ralph Tycho, I mentioned Craig, and he said, "Oh, get him on. Let's get him on." And let me tell you something. It was like pulling teeth finally getting Craig to go on too. Well, I was trying to actually get Craig on a different show. Ralph does a show with Peter Golenbeck, the author. So I thought it was going to be I thought it would be a great connection there to have Craig on there, but it wasn't happening. So we had Craig on, Ralph and I had Craig on our show to talk about his book, which has never been published. And the next day, Ralph calls me up, and the show that Ralph and I did was New York City baseball, past, present, and future. And so the next day, Ralph calls me up. He says, I'd like to split it up. I think you and Craig were really good together. I think you guys should do a Yankee show, and I'm going to do a Mets show with another childhood friend of his. Ralph and I are both from the same neighborhood. And I said, I'd love to do a show with Craig. I said, but I want to do all of baseball. I'm not only just about the Yankees, even though I'm a Yankee fan. So, And Ralph said, sure, no problem. And that's how we got started. And actually, our first guest was Ron Bloomberg.
Okay.
So,
hey.
that's how it is.
And I agreed to do this as long as we could cover the Cubs at least twice a month. This is the year, Marge. This is the year.
Well, you know, I'm taking it one day at a time.
Not me.
You know,
not me. I'm already into October, baby.
Oh, yeah. Listen,
well, I am planning viewing parties.
March, the first serious losing streak. Okay, Craig is going to look at the standings. He's going to see what other team has the best record in baseball, and that's the wagon he's jumping on. Okay.
Oh, I don't think so.
Thank you, Marge.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. You're 100% right. I would never. I'm like you. You mentioned it right off the bat. I think Joe Madden is a big deal. I think he's.
Oh, he is a very big deal.
I
Listen,
think he's got a lot to do with
I
that.
help to pay him a lot of money so he doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, he's not Dusty Baker, that's for sure.
He's not Dusty Baker?
No.
Dusty Baker, I don't think Dusty Baker is a bad manager. I just don't think he's the kind of manager that can be in one place for more than 3 or 4 years. I think a lot of managers are like that. Joe Madden is the kind of guy who can keep that magic going. He's one of the few managers that, to me, he should have a WAR rating. You know, you're familiar with WAR wins. You know, the one that's the stat, and they call it wins above replacement. Joe Madden is like the one manager that, you know, and if there's others that deserve it too, Joe Manager would have the highest wins above replacement rating of any other manager in baseball. No doubt about it.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. He has a way with young men. He's sort of a crazy guy himself. Have you seen photos of his van?
I have not.
Well, there's a Southwest scene depicted airbrushed on the side of his van, the VW bus. The inside has shag carpeting and bucket seats, and that's what he drives around in.
You know, Joe Madden is actually from Hazleton, Pennsylvania, and his mother still lives there, and she was like a waitress in a coffee shop, and he still has a presence there as well. And it's like, you know, it's a little small town. It's I don't know, I think it's around 30 minutes west of Scranton, somewhere around there. So, well, anyway, Margie, we've come to that time of the show where we say goodnight to everybody.
All right.
And we thank you very much for coming on. And again, everybody, listen, www.margielawrence.com. Anyone who is thinking, because I was looking at the stuff. I have good taste. I have expensive taste. But you know, I already picked out a few, you know, just in case my Powerball numbers come in. But
well, you can always get a print.
Yes, if anyone is thinking, you know, about like, hey, you know, I really want to get something nice to hang on my wall, and you're a baseball fan or a blues fan, that's in music blues, not St. Louis blues. You might want to take a look at her website and pick out a piece of art. So again, Margie, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming aboard, and you'll be in our thoughts through the balance of the baseball season and through the playoffs, and maybe we'll touch base with you at that time. Okay? But
that would be a delight. I'll be in a very good mood.
No, that'd be great. Just know that you've got a lot of support. The Cubs have a lot of support here on the East Coast.
Well, that's good to know. I have a few Mets friends who give me the play-by-play when they're at the stadium and the Cubs are losing terribly. So, I'm glad that we have some support on the East Coast.
You sure do. All right. Thanks again for being with us, okay?
Sure.
Okay.
And send me a link.
Oh, as soon as it's posted, as soon as the show is posted, I will send you the link. I promise.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, Craig. Oh, don't tell me Craig left. Yes. Oh, I thought you left. I thought you skipped out on me.
No, wouldn't do that. Never.
Okay. You're the best.
Thank you.
So, it's funny. I was talking to Sam, my oldest son, and he goes like, your worst nightmare has happened, and he goes, the Yankees are winning. It doesn't look like they're going to trade anybody else. So, although they are losing tonight, they're losing 4-1. Yes, there's still a few more days to go, but unfortunately, it's scary. They're only 4 games out of a wild card. So, but yes, thank you everyone, and Craig will not be here next week. He'll be back the week after. But we have a special guest lined up for next week, and a special guest host lined up for next week. So, Craig, listen, enjoy your vacation. And
I just hope this isn't a Lou Gehrig, Wally Pipp thing. I miss a weekend. I'm gone, but have a great show next week. And I'll see you in a week. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
You got it. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.